more on this story, joining us now is Curtis Ellis. He's the Policy Director at America First Policies. Curtis, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Curtis, the Trump administration has long been making the point that Huawei is a national security threat to the U.S. Explain why that's the case.
Well, this latest indictment by the FBI and the Justice Department accuses Huawei of being a corrupt organization. It's the Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organization. They have been deliberately and systematically violating the non-disclosure agreements and confidentiality agreements to steal technology, steal trade secrets from router companies, companies like Cisco, Verizon, other companies, taking the proprietary technology, stealing it and applying it to their own goods. And then they build in back doors, what are called back doors or trap doors, so that the information that passes through those routers and that equipment can be funneled off to the Chinese government. Because you see, there's a law in China that says all companies in China must comply with the Chinese Communist Party, must comply with the national security apparatus and espionage apparatus of that government. So we have seen them. In addition, we see charges here where Huawei has been buying talent. They woo away the talent and the engineers and technologists from other companies in order to appropriate the technology, appropriate the skills, and appropriate the brain power to build their own enterprises. This is, as the FBI says, corrupt practices are built into the DNA of Huawei.
And yet, Curtis, despite the U.S. raising this as a major concern, U.S. allies, including the U.K., are using Huawei to develop their 5G networks. So what does this federal indictment mean now for the U.S. relationships with its allies? Is this finally going to get these allies to heed the U.S.'s request and stop doing business with Huawei, particularly with regards to those 5G networks?
Well, let's certainly hope so. This is another red flag, another warning. The CIA and our intelligence apparatus has been very clear in sharing information, sharing what we know, that there is smoking gun evidence that Huawei is the espionage arm of the People's Liberation Army of Red China. Now, what China is doing is it is bribing officials in other countries to play ball. It is threatening Germany. It has threatened German car makers with retaliation if Germany doesn't play ball with Beijing the way London has. You do have to wonder, who did they get to in the administrative state of London, in the bureaucracy of London, to go along with this? Now, London sold out its colonial subjects in Hong Kong, turned them over to the tender mercies of the Chinese Communist Party. So I suppose we shouldn't be surprised that London is ready to betray the free world. But I've got to give compliments where they're due. The German foreign minister says we should not be making decisions on the basis of fear. If Beijing threatens German car makers, that should not influence our decision about whether we're going to make ourselves vulnerable to Chinese espionage.
You know, Curtis, we even have House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying that allies need to heed this warning and not use Huawei. So it's a rare moment of bipartisanship here. But we do know that the U.S. has just signed the Phase 1 trade deal with China. Per that deal, China is not allowed to steal trade secrets at a minimum. Huawei is accused of doing that. Huawei is a state-sponsored company. So what does this indictment mean for the trade deal? What does Beijing need to do regarding this to show that it's serious about following through on some of the commitments made in that deal?
Yeah, it's very interesting. The Trump administration has rightfully been very clear about keeping national security issues such as Huawei. And, you know, the administration has been rolling up the Chinese spies in our research labs and our academic institutions, keeping that separate from the trade issues. We can sell them agricultural goods. We can sell them energy. There is business we can do with Communist China the same way we did business with the Soviet Union. But there are key technologies and key areas where we cannot be allowing China to gain undue influence and to gain access to some of our key technologies. So at the same time, we are pressuring China and trying to make deals with China to respect intellectual property. We're very clear-eyed about the fact that they are trying to steal technology in other areas.
All right, Curtis, thank you so much. Curtis Ellis, Policy Director at America First Policies. Thanks for joining us, and happy Valentine's Day.